live.
Boom, sorry, my lunch is peanut butter pretzels.
You need a an NBA Jam arcade game in that office.
It's got that vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That's what I'm going to ask for Christmas this year, I think.
So that's what Josh. That's what the boys at K. That's what the boys at K Rock do. They do 3 hours of radio, and then they play NBA Jam for an hour, and they have like a month-long competition on the big board. They keep tally
That's
of
bad.
all their wins and losses. I can totally see that happening inside that space.
I got the real estate for it.
You do. You could actually do a few arcade games in there.
Dude, I would smoke everybody though.
I don't know. I haven't been down. What's your go-to arcade game?
There's a handful. The Simpsons one was a classic when I was growing up. The like OG of OG Ninja Turtles. Like if it's from like the 90s, I got it.
See, I'm old. As we've highlighted many times in our age difference, I'm more Akari Warriors, 1812 Battle, Tecmo Bowl, and I guess we might overlap on NBA Jam. I think that's the one we might overlap on.
I think that's at like end of yours and the beginning of mine.
Yeah,
100%.
So here's what I want to start with. I have a couple of things teed up. Of course, none of which you know anything about because we don't show prep, right? So the big thing I want to talk about is the theme for me this week. So full disclosure, I had a really bad afternoon yesterday. I mean, like,
yes, you did.
I mean, like one of those afternoons that just was really bad, and but I reflected on it. I had a really big issue go sideways with one of my clients, and I was really kind of beating myself up about it. And then there was some family health issues, which you can never control. But what the theme I kept thinking about this morning as I was walking outside was there's only so much you can control, and I think that's what's hard about being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is not the same thing as being able to control everything. And I think that's a very, very fine line. And that was a line that got crossed for me yesterday, that even though everything I did for this particular client was going extremely well, it literally took one email for the whole thing to go sideways. And it wasn't from him. It wasn't from me. It was from one of our vendors that basically said, we can't provide what you need for the next 2 months. And it was like mission critical, cash flow critical. I don't want to say business critical. I don't want to overstate the situation, but it was like, man, and I was in a funk last night. And I woke up this morning and I talked to the same client, and he basically came back to me and he's like, dude, he goes, nobody's blaming you for this. It happened. He goes, you did everything that you needed to do up to this point. You just got right hooked. So I think that's kind of the theme for me, is kind of coming back and saying, you can do everything that you can possibly do the best of your ability, and it's still not a guarantee that the outcome you want is going to be the outcome that actually happens. And that became painfully clear for me this week.
Yeah, well, I think it's a reminder that just sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
And we have a similar story that I'll tell you in a second, but I think that we get spoiled sometimes, because 98% of the time we are in control of everything. And even it's what we sign up for, good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I think we get spoiled sometimes. We get used to that. And then when things hit you that are big like that, but they're not in your control, like we forget how to process it sometimes, because it's just one of those things that you don't have to deal with that often. Everybody else that has normal jobs or normal lives, they got to deal with shit like that all day, every day, where managers and managers and managers are doing stuff that's wrong in their mind or that they shouldn't be doing, and then they catch shit for it. It's not in their control. You know, that's something that happens all day, every day. But just with the kind of life that you and I live, we don't really have to deal with that. So when it hits you, it's super foreign, you know, and it's just kind of this shock to the system. Like, I got to fix this. I got to do something. Like, I got to make this better. And you just can't. And that's a weird feeling, because most of the time when shit does hit the fan, we can fix it and it is in our control. So like, I got a lot of empathy for that. You know, we had a similar situation in house. 2-3 weeks ago, we had a client signed off, good to go. Everything's good. Launch meeting's good. You know, campaign strategy, good. Everything's good. And then out of nowhere, we don't want to do it anymore. That's it. And I hate, you know me, I hate losing anything.
Yeah.
You know, so like to like do that, and like you're sitting there and you just look at it start to finish and you're like, we did everything right. You know, from prospecting to explaining our proposal to going through everything to getting an autograph on a contract to going through our planning process, outlining how we're going to do it. And then sometimes shit just happens, you know? And I was ultra just frustrated and on edge for like a day, but then you just kind of got to just take a step back and then realize, you know, that's the exception, not the rule. And as long as you can kind of have that kind of patience and perspective, it's easier to swallow that. But I feel you, especially in client services, when one of those things affects you being able to do your job for a client, just who you are, like you feel guilty.
Yep.
You, the client, and the neighbor 4 doors down know that it wasn't your fault. But it's just, I feel you. There's just going to be this guilty feeling no matter what, because your job is to fix it. Yep. If you break it, if they break it, if whoever breaks it. So it's fucking weird, man. I feel you though.
It is. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, is that, you know, if this had happened to me, you know, even 2 years ago, I would have internalized it and I would have gone into an even deeper spot. But now I verbalized it, you know, to anybody that would listen yesterday. I forgot where I was. I think I was taking my kid to a doctor's appointment or something. And I go, man, I had a really crummy experience. I had a really shitty day at work. He looked at me like, number one, that never happens, you know, because it's been so many good things happening. And number two, he's like, wow, what happened? And I told him, and he goes, it's not your fault. He goes, you got something else happened, you know? And I was just like, oh, and then I talked to Siobhan about it afterwards, and she goes, okay, so are you going to lose the client? I said, I might. And she goes, okay. And I was like, and she goes, no, and just, okay. Like, you'll figure it out like you always do. And I was like, I sat down last night. I was just so emotionally drained. And I just sat there and I was like, she's right. Like, everything's going to be okay because of all the other work that's happened. But he did, you know, kind of button up this story. The client did call me last night about 6:30, 7 o'clock. He goes, dude, I'm sorry I came down hard on you. And he goes, business owner to business owner, I just wanted you to know where I was at. He goes, and you were the exact wrong email with the exact wrong message at the exact wrong time yesterday. I go, trust me, I get it. So it was fine. We had another call this morning. Everything's going to be just fine. But I was just like, man, that to me, that's always been the great part about it. But then the kryptonite for me is you get so emotionally invested in what you're doing, and that's what makes you good at it. And then all of a sudden something like that happens, and it's like, sure, you close the laptop, you close the new-ish office down, and you close the door, but you still take it with you. And it's like, man, those are just tough days, but it worked out fine. Like it always does. Like most of the time it does. And it's all good. So
100%, man. And it's just, you weirdly appreciate it after the fact. You know, once in a while you need a loss mixed in here. Not even a loss, but you just like a day. Like you need to take an L some days just to kind of like relight your fire on some stuff. And it's just one of those things that we had a couple people over last night, some, young kids, not young kids, they're like early 20s. It's sad that that's young to me now, but over in the incubator that came over and just talking about that same stuff. And like, I could see it in their face. Like I knew exactly where they were at. Yeah. They're just, when you're getting started and everything is right there. Like you can almost, but it's just, and I'm like, fuck, cause I can see it and I know them and I know their talent and I know their work ethic. So I know they're good, but I've sat in that chair and you're not going to believe you're good until you are. And those deals close. So it's just like, I was just smiling to myself. Cause like, I remember that. And it's one of the things where like, to humble brag for you, like you had a really good summer and like a really good spring and like a lot of good things happened. And one of those things where like, when you kind of get out of that having to grind phase and, am I going to make it to next? I mean, like you well past that, but you get past that uncertainty phase of everything. Mm-hmm. And like the only question is like, how much better is it going to get today? Mm-hmm. To have a day like that, I weirdly think it's good because it kind of resets and it brings your alertness up and you're paying attention to things where like, okay, there might be small tweaks because like I know what you're talking about that you can do in the future to avoid that. Yep. And ultimately it's going to be a learning experience. So it's just weird for as it might take days off your life just from how high your blood pressure was yesterday. But once you get through it, it's just weirdly like you almost learn to appreciate it.
Yeah, it was definitely a time to refocus. Not that I'm going to say there's any massive shift or anything like that, but it was just like a little refocus on the detail. It's like, Yep, I missed that one email. Now, was that the basis of the culmination of the entire thing going? No, it wasn't. But it was like, all right, I missed that one email 8 days ago, and I was probably tardy in responding to it. Now, again, is it going to present a wholesale shift in everything that I'm doing? No, not at all. But if you tweak the flow a little bit, it's like, wait a minute, you thought the faucet was on full throttle. You found out it wasn't. It was only about 90% open. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, wait a minute, throttle it back a little bit, analyze, and then when you can throttle it back fully open. It's like, this is what you have to do to completely throttle out. So it's like, that's perfectly. Now and like you said, now you learn how to make it even better moving forward. So, a little bit of humble pie is good every once in a while. Even though I still feel as though it wasn't more than about 10% my fault. But you know what? I was the wrong guy at the wrong time to deliver the wrong message, and I got punched in the mouth. And I think that's good for everybody. I think it's good to get punched in the mouth every once in a while, for sure.
100%, man. Like it's just accountability at the end of the day, and it's weird where, that's one thing. And like, it's an anomaly for you, but it's still a learning experience, like we've had a very interesting week, a couple of weeks here where like, I was laughing myself as a lot of things happened. Cause like, as I am the ultimate don't ask for anything ever. Like when should I start selling this or ask? Never, right? Let it come to you. But I've had this epiphany over the last couple of weeks where like, I was sitting back here and I'm like, these people are having this stuff done, whether they're paying me to do it or not. So like some of the stuff I told you about earlier is sweet. So like I've started asking for more stuff like the last 2 weeks, and it's just been absurd how much of it they're like, yeah, and it's just, it reminds me, like, I forget what episode, but we did a whole show and nobody ever said yes without being asked a question. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing where like, for us, in some cases, we were being held accountable for things that we had no control over. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, ultimately what we do is suffering because this isn't getting done. And I'm like, if you're not going to let me get this done, what are we talking about? Mm-hmm. but it's weird how everything comes full circle like that because we've invested so much time in setting those expectations. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be accountable for this much money a month. If you want me to do this, great, but then here's where this is, dollar-wise. And just laying all of that out, there's no debate. There's no conversation to be had. There's just nothing. You know what I mean? It's just, everything is just so black and white, and it's so right there. And like, I was laughing. So I'm like, Ben's going to make fun of me on the show because I always say, don't ask for anything. Like, just wait. And then I'm just literally doing the opposite of eating my own dog food on that one. So I'm like, fuck, maybe there's a time and a place for this. So I don't know. That's been a big thing with me this week, and I couldn't wait to talk about it.
But it's you showing value on one thing that you knew you could do well out of the start, and you did, and you've been doing it well for years and years and years and years and years. So what that allows you to do, it gives you the permission to look at other avenues of revenue and or pieces of the pie. It gives you the permission. But it's like, the way I would equate it was, after episode 8 of this show, I'm texting you saying, hey, let's make some money doing this show. And you're like, bro, we ain't there yet. So if you had said, I want to do XYZ in addition to ABC for these clients, and you had this conversation 4 years ago, they'll be like, that's weird. Like, all of a sudden you're creating friction. Whereas now it's like, oh, Adam can do all of this and KBL can do all of this really well. And he's asking to potentially do this as a new initiative for him. Yeah, he's already a trusted member of the team. Right. He's already doing everything that he said he was going to do. So by proxy, the branding of KBL and the branding of Adam is just growing in scope. It's the same thing I'm going through now. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, the beverage guy. Hey, would you mind taking a look at this other part of our business and see if we can make a little bit of a tweak? So it's not even them. It's not even me selling them on anything now. Now all of a sudden it's them coming back and saying, hey, just want another set of eyes on these things. To me, it's just natural progression, whether you have to ask for it or not, is natural progression of your career and KBL's brand to say, okay, we're the digital market. Here's our pillar. We're the digital marketing experts. Here we are. But wait a minute, this is just 1 degree away from this. But you're paying somebody else $600 a month to do this. Meanwhile, we're half a degree away. Right. To me, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's just, and the other thing is that, we have a handful of those clients under our belt now where we are doing more of that stuff. And so we have kind of case studies to work off of. And the other thing is, it's just how everything just fits together. And just from like how we always talk about paying attention to like where the weak spots are and what you're doing, is we had a handful of clients where the digital, I just left a meeting an hour ago talking about this, the digital presence didn't match up to the real life presence. Meaning that I feel like it was like those online dating profiles where like people use pictures from 30 years ago, like what you see online and then what you see in real life are 2 different things. And then they're like, well, what would you do in house? And I'm like, well, this, and this. And then they're like, so like, then all of a sudden, like, I feel like I'm John Taffer on Bar Rescue, where you're just going in and just changing everything. And then I just had this epiphany. I'm like, fuck, we can do that. Because like with what, like, in just the product of what we do, like we get to be a part of so many teams in so many different markets, in so many different industries, that just by osmosis, you kind of gain this knowledge that you don't realize you're gaining because you're picking it up here and there. And then like, as you go through, like some of like the retail sciences that you learn with people is just wild, So like, that's where I looked at it. Where like 4 years ago, I never would have thought of having that be a paid offering of ours. Because the fuck do I know? Who am I to tell you how to set this up or how to treat a customer post-transaction? Like, what the fuck do I know? And then you do that every day for however many hours a day for 6.5 years. Oh, now all of a sudden you know stuff. And then you can put it down, and then you look at it, the same exact roadmap that we do for people digitally, it's the same thing over here. Just instead of Facebook and LinkedIn campaigns, it's in-store signage, or the actual thank you note that goes with an e-commerce purchase, or you name it. Everything just works together, and I'm just like, I'm just mad that I didn't think of this sooner. Because like literally just bring it up. Everybody's like, yeah, of course we should be doing that. And they're like, it's a great idea, but who's going to do it? And I'm like,
you're an overnight success, 6 years in the making.
Right? Like, golly. But and it's just like, it's a no-brainer because it's already sold. All of the same selling points for the digital stuff. It's the exact same conversation. It's just a different platform at the end. Easy.
Just making sure your e-commerce platform isn't selling a different whiskey than the one that you bought, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so I promised a buddy of mine that we'd use him as a case study. So this is kind of interesting, and I did not prep you on this. This is fun. So I love playing video games. It's been one of my favorite things since I was 4 years old. I still play them to this. I don't play them often anymore, but I have the new PGA 2K21 that I play. That is just kind of my chill final 20 minutes of the day. I can kind of just downshift. But then I also have my Fortnite that I love, that I still play. I've played for almost 2 years now with the same group. And we stream on Twitch just so we can go back and listen the next day and just goof on each other about how bad we are.
Yep.
So one guy's a lot better. One guy's a lot better about streaming than I am, because I just literally forget. You're gonna be shocked when it comes to technology. I literally just forget to hit record on Twitch when we're on PS4. So that's me. But he's always good about doing this. So he was on one. I had hopped off, and he was on. He plays a lot later than I do. I can't hang anymore, man. I'm old. But he was on one night, and on Twitch, you can actually take all of your viewers from the channel that you're on, that you're hosting, and you can do what's called a raid. You can take your entire group, K-Rock in the Morning does this really, really well. They'll go raid somebody, and they'll take however many viewers they have, and they'll put it on somebody else's channel. So he was on there with a friend. This is probably 1:30 in the morning. And he, all of a sudden, his stats just go through the roof. Like, he got rated, I forget the numbers, but he got rated by something like 1,700 people at the exact same time. So he went from like one viewer to 1,700 viewers in 1 second.
Okay.
So what that does, not getting too technical and geeky, what that does is that automatically something like that bumps you up to what's called Twitch affiliate, meaning you can actually start making money on Twitch by getting subscriptions, and you can actually start getting bits, which are basically digital tips on Twitch. So he texts me the next morning. He takes a screenshot of his thing. He goes, "Oh my gosh." He goes, "I can actually make side hustle money doing this." Now, this is literally a 43-year-old guy in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that plays this with his buddies for fun. But he's telling me right now, 3,800 viewers. So I knew I was going to screw it up. So 3,800 viewers, but all of a sudden, in one fell swoop, he can now actually make money on a side hustle. So my question to you is, so he's got a family, he's got the whole thing, just like me, but this is going to be like a side hustle. And this is really how you and I kind of started this whole show, was turning a side hustle and documenting kind of that whole story. For him, sitting at home, playing with me and a couple other people, how can he, and what's the best advice you can give to him to potentially grow, and what platforms should he be producing content, what kind of content, and where should he be interacting kind of in that esports realm?
The answer to that question is 99% predicated on James and what he likes and his personality and what he gives a shit about. That's the answer. If you have to be as authentic as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. What kind of content should you put out? Stuff that you're passionate about, that you can talk about. If me and you try to do this show talking about, how to write a business plan and build, we would fucking suck because we've never done that in our lives. But like, this is the shit we like. Like the fact that we're talking, we never plan any, like people think I'm making it up. Literally not once. If I text you to confirm a time more than 10 minutes ahead of time, that's good for us. But like, so like that's the thing. It has to be authentic. So like who is James? What does he care about? What's he playing? Like, is he like actually good? And like, that's why people watch because it's funny? Or is it more just like comedic and people have a fun time watching him because he's 43 playing Fortnite? That's all shit you got to figure out. And then that's your content right there, and then, what platform? All of them, all of them, Facebook, Instagram, there's figure out LinkedIn, figure out all of them. TikTok, we're officially a TikTok marketing agency, but not a big deal now. It's fine. But all that stuff's happening. So like you got to figure that out. Like if you don't think a 43-year-old dad in Fort Wayne, Indiana could have success on TikTok, you're not paying attention. TikTok's absurd right now, and like not getting banned back to China. So hey, fucking let's go, full steam ahead. But that's the answer, And he's got a nice thing. And normally you have to build an audience of 3,800 viewers. The fact that he caught on that, wave and gets to ride it, perfect, awesome. But what are you going to do with it? I don't know enough about Twitch where like what level of insights or analytics you get on your followers, but that's just it, and it's just, you have to be as authentically entertaining as possible. Anything short of that's a losing play.
Yep. And that's precisely what I told him. And I'll continue to tell him if he wants my help, is basically continue to produce the content, because obviously there was something about the content that you're already generating that somebody was attracted to, right? Like somebody watched him and said, who's this dude at 1:30 in the morning on a Thursday night playing Fortnite? That, he's not going to be offended when I say this. He's not, he's good in terms of my group, but he can't hold a candle to some of the best players. So the answer to your question is no, he's not going to win somebody over because he's winning every single match. He's going to win somebody over because he has a dry sense of humor and is relatable and is a real dude and has like real world, family, like real world family, right? So you don't think there's enough of us second gen gamers that are out there that are dealing with the exact same things through this whole COVID thing? So it could be something as simple as, just telling normal stories. This is what we do. We hop online and we just tell normal stories, is clipping those stories and putting them in front of people that on platforms that they're already consuming content. So if you're trying to reach 43-year-old white guy in upstate New York, you're going to be on Facebook and Instagram. If you're going to be, and you're going to tell me TikTok too, which we'll get there, but that's exactly it. Or upload your entire stream to YouTube. You have no idea who's going to catch on at some point, as this show is perfect example. Somebody will just latch onto one little piece of content and then just go ahead and binge watch the entire episode. You never know what's going to happen.
Without question. The internet's fucking weird right now. It just is. The most famous person on the internet right now is some dude with a head tattoo that was skateboarding, listening to Fleetwood Mac, drinking cranberry juice. That's not made up. That's one of those things that it sounds like hyperbole that I would make up just to illustrate the fact. No, that's real life. This dude literally is an internet sensation, built his own merch store, Ocean Spray, gave him a brand new truck full of cranberry juice. Not, again, real life, because he went viral, and I mean viral on TikTok, because of the vibes that people felt when this dude was riding a skateboard down the freeway, listening to Fleetwood Mac, drinking cranberry juice. It's the first time Fleetwood Mac's been like a top 40 song in 80 years or whatever. But it was like number 13 on the charts or something like that, because all these kids are like, what's Fleetwood Mac? And then everybody and their sister is spoofing it like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't see anything.
Right. It's the same advice we give to everybody. You have to do a little research, find out where your potential audience is already consuming their content, and create content that will not create additional friction or entertain or whatever it is that you're doing. But you have to have those at bats. You have to have, I mean, honestly, I could see a scenario where, especially now with LinkedIn stories, it could be, this is going to sound crazy, It could be a LinkedIn, a documenting the journey on LinkedIn of how I became a Twitch affiliate as a 43-year-old gamer. Like, here are the clips that I did. Here's here's how I documented the raid. Here's how I set up everything. You don't think there's a few professionals on LinkedIn that have dreams of being an esports star from the hours of 7 at night till 3 in the morning? Like, that it could be that kind of play, and just see how people resonate with your content. It could be completely different like that, which could over index. You never know.
Or an agency owner that wants to know how how Twitch influencers work. It's like, I wish, actually, I'm kind of happy that some people are sleeping on it because it's fun for me. But like, the extent to which people don't understand the internet on October 16th, 2020 is absurd. Like, if you flash back 10 years, 2010, and I told you this place would be built from posting on Facebook and Instagram, you would have laughed me out of whatever room we were in. Less than a decade later, here we are. You know what I mean? So like, that's the crazy part, is that like right now, like, oh, like 4,000 people watched you play a video game. Sounds like a joke to so many people. But those are the same people that 10 years ago would have seen people doing this to pictures of their food and been like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. But here we are. You know, so that's the thing. And there's people, I think you and I are great examples of it. You know, for every one person in my small corner of upstate New York that's like, dude, you're charging way too much. Post on social media, I'll have one of the girls do it. For every one of those, there's a guy in New Brunswick that's like, fuck yeah, I'm in. And then for another one that says, yeah, we're going to go more the traditional agency route, looking to like print and radio. There's somebody in Chicago that's like, fuck yeah, I'm in. So it's like, that's the thing. Like, the world's like, for you, like, you're just across the globe. Like, somebody in Syracuse, want to work with you? Great. This dude in Hawaii does. Or my boy in Australia, no problem. Because like, that's real. Like, that's just happening. And nobody thinks it's real until they see it. Even those people, like people that are like close to me, that are like my friends, like I'll tell them about projects. They're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, check our bank account on Tuesday. Like, yeah. But they just don't, like, part is that they just don't see it. Part they don't want to. Because like, I'm literally like working at this job for 50 hours a week that fucking drains the soul out of my body. But Adam gets paid to play basketball and design moonshine cans.
I actually had to Google before one of my calls this week. I had to Google who Machine Gun Kelly was.
Oh yeah, I could do. I fucking love Machine Gun Kelly.
Well, stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. The other thing, Jim, I would tell you is, if you honestly getting to affiliate, so many people would want to be that Twitch star. Everybody wants to be affiliate because you can monetize. Can you imagine if you documented the growth from affiliate to partner status on Twitch? I mean, can you imagine just doing that and documenting that on LinkedIn? And then that becomes your offering. It's not just your own partnership on LinkedIn or partnership on Twitch where they go out and find sponsors for you, or they're helping you monetize, et cetera, et cetera. You can then turn around and say, I can help you do the same things and start to offer things to people to go from zero to potentially partner on Twitch. You could then become the over 40 guy. You could brand yourself as the over 40 guy on Twitch that took myself from zero to partner. And the more you talk about it and the more content you put out, whether it be on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden it's hey, here's I don't like using the word masterclass, but here's my masterclass offering for the next 20 guys over 40 that want to learn how to become a Twitch partner. Here are the steps that I did. It's no guarantee. Here's what I did. But then I'm also going to charge you $100 a month to have access to my masterclass or whatever it is. There's so many ways you can do it.
It's the Ben Riley School of Consulting. Like one of the reasons that you have the chops in the portfolio you do is like you fucking did it. You got street cred upon street cred. It's easy for somebody to trust you to make that investment in you. You know, a very simple, like a shout out to my girl Shira. She was in the class I taught at BU, Jesus, 5 years ago, whenever that was. She just, this girl, very quiet, you know, in this entrepreneurship community, to like be around her friends, didn't really give a shit about any of it. And then she like really loves sharks. And I mean, loves sharks. Like she's like passionate, like knows her shit, loves sharks. And one day, like sheepishly asked me about like, is there anything I can do around like shark conservation and like build a business out of it? And I'm like, fuck yeah, there is. So like this girl literally proceeded to go from nothing to selling stickers on Instagram to building a community of, let me look it up real quick because I always shortchange her when I talk about her. I don't want to do that. 58,000 people on Instagram, built herself a merch store where she sells tank tops, shirts, hoodies, hats, and all that, and then gives part of it to shark conservation. So like, she already won. She did it. She built a business doing something she loves, which by the way is the answer, you guys. And on top of that, now she's not only doing that, she built a whole second build. She is building a whole second business where she's just start to finish building e-commerce shops for people. And why can she do that? And why can she charge for it? Because she did it.
Mm-hmm. And she documented it. You just do something you love, you talk about it a lot, then people will.
I almost get fucking angry about it because it's not like the process isn't hard. Like knowing what to do isn't hard. It's just like go climb that mountain. Like it's going to be physically difficult, but how do you do it? You start walking. And it works. And then when you get over that first hump, you're like, oh shit, this is really fun. And then you get to the fact that most people on Sunday night at 8:30 instantly feel anxiety. Full-blown Sunday scaries. Because they got to spend 40 to 50 hours the next 5 days doing shit that they just fucking hate is astonishing to me.
Yep.
Especially when we live in the world that we do. Like nobody, like you just want to shake some people. I don't know.
That's it, man.
That's my I just
know. I'm leave it right there. That's a beautiful thing. Jim, I hope that helped. I've been meaning to talk about that on our show here for the last couple of weeks. Kristen, Brian, Steve, good to see you. Dan, Eric, our good buddy Eric, Mike, Ed, everybody. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I really like this afternoon format. We might have to change it to Friday afternoon, man.
Just get fired up, I think, man.
He's got a whiskey ready to go just to his left, so he's ready to rock.
Dude, that's good stuff, dude. I haven't even yet today though. The real answer. So, Strange Brew, our good friends, our neighbors next door, our go-to coffee place, closed this week out of precaution because they had a positive COVID test. Everybody's fine. Not to scoop that story, but so they're back Monday. But they also know how I was struggling, so they brought me a full air pot of coffee. So I'm making up for lost time, and I am just fucking wired today.
You want unlimited coffee? That is a scary proposition, my friend.
Dude, tell me about it. I got it's just, I'm so amped. Like, it's just weird. It's just like, just stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like, there's just so much stuff that's right in front of us. And like with what we've been doing, like being in control of all of that, a couple of projects that you and I are working on together is just, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We will keep it at that. If you joined us live on Facebook, thank you. If you join us on YouTube afterwards and you'd like to watch the show afterwards, thank you. If you're catching us on iTunes or Spotify, I'm getting kind of good at this kind of wrap up thing, like all the things that we're on now.
100%.
iTunes, Spotify. Thank you. And we do this. The only reason we do this is if one person texts us and says this was helpful. It's the only reason we do this. That it's fun for us, yes. It's cathartic for us in many reasons, yes. But it's just the interaction that we have with people, whether it be live or afterwards. It's just been incredible. So thank you for all of that. Everybody, it is happy hour. Cheers. It is 5 o'clock. I'm going to go open one myself, and have a great weekend, everybody.
See you.
Peace.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.